Cześć, jestem Wojtek z IGN Polska, jest tutaj ze mną Codym Pondsmithem. Hi Cody.
Hi, how you doing?
Będziemy rozmawiać trochę o jego najnowszej grze planszowej, Wiedźmin, ale zaczniemy od paru prostszych pytań. So, Cody, how do you like Poland so far?
Oh, I love Poland so far. I've been here probably 4 or 5 times, mostly through Java, by the way. Correct my pronunciation anytime. Anyway, absolutely beautiful country. The people are all really nice, and it's a very nice, kind of homey place.
Okay, and how about Pyrkon? Is it the first convention in Poland you've been to?
Yeah, Pyrkon's the first convention in Poland I've been to. It's absolutely huge. I'm tremendously impressed. I gotta be honest, I didn't think it was going to be quite this big. There's just a tremendous amount of really talented folks showing up, a lot of really great cosplayers, a lot of fun booths and dealers.
Okay, so can you tell me what's your plans for Pyrkon? Why are you here?
We're over in Pyrkon, well, mostly because we're invited and we weren't going to pass it up, but we're here also just to sort of, get the word out on the Witcher tabletop RPG, and for Mike to, appear and be friendly and talk about Cyberpunk from here and, here to there. For me to knock over glasses of water.
I heard that you're dangerous, with melee weapons, so the glass is, is it glass deadly weapon for you?
It probably could be, but I'd have to work at it. It's got a pretty solid bottom, so I'd probably use it as a bludgeoning weapon.
Okay, so can you tell us about your hobby, about the melee weapons thing?
Okay. One of my hobbies is pre-gunpowder weaponry and historical combat. I am a tremendous fan of basically any form of weaponry that came before muskets and black powder armament, and that's led to me being an owner of and a practitioner of archery, crossbows, thrown weapons, swords of many different types. I've tried to get into daggers, but it's not quite as easy. Hand axes, all kinds of stuff.
Okay, and how do you, put this this knowledge to work in games industry?
Really, the important part for this sort of thing is just knowing what's feasible. When we sit down and write things like Cyberpunk or Witcher, we like to know as close as possible what those things work like. I can tell you a lot about wielding a German longsword, for instance. I can tell you a lot about wearing a plate helmet. I can tell you a lot about how fast you can fire arrows and with what accuracy, and whether crossbows are really more accurate than bows and arrows. They are if they're calibrated right. Always calibrate them right. I have a horrible story about that. Luckily, no one died.
Okay, can you tell us this story?
No, it's terrible. So I'm a big fan of longbows. I have a Mongolian-style longbow recurve back at my place, which is just my favorite bow ever. But as I've worked in Witcher more, I had to kind of deal with crossbows a lot more, because crossbows are much more common in Witcher, just based on the time period. So the biggest argument on crossbows is generally, beyond the fact that you can generally have a weaker person pull more draw weight, which is how powerful the crossbow is also that it's more accurate. And the theory was that with a crossbow, you could have a fully trained arbalist or a crossbowman much quicker than you could have a fully trained longbowman, which since, at least for the English war bow, the draw weight on those was from 100 to 175, which, let me tell you, I've tried to draw a 98-pound bow. It is ridiculous. But I decided to test this out. So I got one of my friends, one of my gaming group, and I got a 160-pound crossbow, and I loaded it for them, and I gave it to them to shoot.
So that doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well, see, the problem is, the crossbow is a very accurate weapon if it's calibrated right. But the sights were not calibrated quite right. It was just a half a centimeter too high. And so she pulls up the crossbow, she fires, The bolt goes way high over the target by like 5 feet, over the fence, 2 yards over, and lands 2 yards over in the neighborhood yard of actually a very nice family. They were super nice. They didn't get upset that I accidentally let someone shoot a crossbow bolt into their backyard. For the sake of my poor friend, I will not tell their name here.
Okay. So let's talk about, your game that is here on Pyrkonu.
Okay. I'm going to be running a Witcher tabletop RPG game in a couple hours, actually. This is the game that I've been working on for quite a while now, and it is basically all ready to roll. We're in layout in the shop back at home, and I'm basically here showing it off and letting people know about it.
So is it officially a licensed Witcher game?
Yes, we are officially licensed by CD Projekt Red. We have a little sort of swap of franchise, since they're doing, of course, Cyberpunk 2077 based on our product, Cyberpunk 2020. So yeah, we are official.
Okay, so can you tell us how this project came to life?
Well, when we went over it first, the plan was just that they were going to do a video game based on Cyberpunk, and we would help them with that as much as necessary, or as much as we could, since we really wanted to be involved in it. But when we got over there, it turned out that they were interested in getting someone to do a tabletop version of Witcher, and us being a tabletop company, me and Lisa and my mother and our business manager being now fascinated with the Witcher franchise, I put it forth that we could do the tabletop adaptation.
Okay, can you tell me about the situation between Andrzej Sapkowski and CDPR and Witcher games? Yeah.
Unfortunately, there have been some problems between Andrzej Sapkowski and CDPR, mostly, I think, because of markets outside of Poland. Unfortunately, from my experience in the United States, the vast majority of people really didn't know what Witcher was until Witcher 2 and then Witcher 3. And unfortunately, when they brought over all of the new translations of the Witcher novels by Andrzej Sapkowski, they did use CD Projekt Red art for the covers. And while they stated that it was the book that the video games were based on the back cover, I think there was probably a lot of confusion for a lot of people who had only ever seen the video games, and now they were seeing a series of books that had art from the video games, and they put 2 and 2 together and got 6 somehow, and it all went pear-shaped. It's a real shame, I think, because the novels are absolutely fantastic. Lisa has read through all of them cover to cover and taken copious notes, and I am currently going through Sword of Destiny at the moment and having an absolutely great time.
Okay, so can you tell us about your job in general, what it takes to create a tabletop game?
Okay, I'm probably doing a lot of people a favor by what I'm about to say. Creating a tabletop game is a lot of fun, it is a lot of creative process, and it is also a tremendous amount of math. Most of my job putting together the tabletop RPG is basically taking things that have appeared in the video games and in the books and things like that, figuring out how they would theoretically work within a system, writing down a bunch of equations, and then writing down a bunch of statistics, and then writing down a bunch of other numbers, and then changing those numbers by 1 point back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for months until they eventually all line up. And unfortunately, when you get done with that, you have to put it all into layout and change everything up. It's an amazingly fun process, but if you're not willing to take the time to go back and change it and make it work, it can be very tiring. To give you a story, when we originally pitched this project, Witcher 3 had not come out. So we were working on Witcher 2. And I wrote up as a proposal, because I was young and didn't really know how to put together a proposal. I put together effectively the system for that game. And I did all my research, and I picked out all the weapons from Witcher 2, and I got all this information, and I put it all together, and I brought it over in this big, thick binder. And, you know, they were duly impressed, and that's what won us the license, as it were. But then, like 3 months later, they brought out Witcher 3. And all of that had to get changed. You know, there are very few parts of that original manuscript that remain unchanged to this day, because suddenly there was all this new information that had to be counted and factored in.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about your visits in CD Projekt Red? What kind of help they provided you?
Our visits to CD Projekt Red are interesting because generally we'll fly over, we'll be put up in a very nice hotel, and then every day is we get up at 8 or 9. We take a taxi over to CD Projekt's headquarters, and then we sit in meetings till like 5 or 6, 17 or 18, I suppose. Just going over all sorts of stuff. We'll split up. Mike will go off and do cyberpunk stuff and, talk to them about the different workings of 2077, and I'll go off with various people from the original Witcher team who worked on Witcher 2 and Witcher 3 and whatnot, and we'll just talk about, how to effectively translate into an RPG, and I'll ask them numerous lore questions, because, there are a few, little bits and differences between English translation and the Polish originals. So mostly it's we just get in a room together and just talk about the project for hours and hours and hours, and then we'll, go get dinner after a few hours.
Okay, so have they shown you a glimpse of Cyberpunk 2077?
Ah, there's a trap. Being that I do not have my CEO or business manager with me at the moment, I'm going to save my own butt and say no comment.
Okay, that's very, very sneaky way to get out of it.
Oh, believe me, if I said anything I wasn't supposed to say, which the tabletop would never get finished, my body would be found in an alleyway somewhere.
Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for your time.
All right.
And good luck with your tabletop game. I will make sure to visit, the playthrough.
All right, thank you very much.
No, dzięki. To był wywiad z Codym Pondsmithem. Na wszystkie rzeczy z Pyrkonu zostańcie z nami na IGN.